Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Producer's Perspective Live. Tonight, Lynn Ahrens, that Tony Award-winning lyricist, Once on This Island, Anastasia, Ragtime, Seussical, and a ton more. So stay tuned. We're talking with Lynn next and raising money and awareness for the Actors Fund. So if you have friends that you think will enjoy this stream, go ahead, hit that heart button, hit that like button, spread the news. We're talking with Lynn Ahrens in just a few moments. Let's hit it.
We're getting the band back together, getting the boys who rock to rock again. We're getting the band back together, rocking the face of a place that remembers when some punks from the suburbs lit the sky with too much reverb. We're getting the band back together.
Hi, everybody. How was your weekend? Was it good? First thing to ask, how do I look? I look okay? We got a new light going on here. A new light. I got the ring light from Amazon. We're bumping up the production values here at the Producer's Perspective Live. And how do I sound? Sound okay? We got a fancy new microphone. What do you think of that? It's the Yeti. We're sponsored by the Yeti. We're actually not sponsored by the Yeti. I had to buy it. It was like $149.95 from Amazon.com. Yeah. So welcome to the Producer's Perspective Live. How was everybody's long weekend? Did it feel like a long weekend? Do they all feel like long weekends? What'd you do? Oh, Wayne Stafford says I'm glowing. I am glowing. I think it might be a little too bright. We're going to have to upgrade with some makeup artists next. If only I could actually have someone into my apartment maybe I'll do some self-makeup tips. I don't know. We'll see. The sound is excellent, although I'm going to tell you this right now, just in case it goes horribly wrong, because that's sometimes what happens here at the Producer's Perspective Live. There's a 50-50 chance I can't hear anybody. So when Lynn Ahrens comes on and says, if that's what I hear and I don't hear anything, I'm going to have to make some quick adjustments, but I've got a plan. I've got a plan. So stay tuned for that. Excitement already. We'll see if we start screwing up right off the bat. So how was everyone's weekend? Any virtual barbecues? Anyone do any of that? Eat some virtual Nathan's hot dogs, that kind of thing. We do have Lynn Ahrens with us tonight. So many great shows. One of the best lyricists the industry has ever had, and a fantastic person as well. Very excited to have her. So get those questions ready. And don't forget, we debuted this last week, but now we've talked about upping the technology. Mary Dina figured out how to bring you on when you have a question. So when you have a question, you're going to put question in the old chat, right? And if Mary deems you worthy, that's right, she's the filter. If she deems you worthy, she's going to bring you on and you can ask your question to Lynn directly, okay? Here's the trick that we did not mention the other day. When you ask your question, check your Facebook messages, okay? Mary has to contact you through Facebook Messenger to give you the super secret password link code to get into the place where you can ask your question. So make sure you've got your messages open so she can get you the super secret decoder ring so you can ask your question. So make sure that's happening, okay? What else? Have we given to the Actors Fund today? Have we given anyone donate? Help us raise $10,000 for the Actors Fund. And I'm going to tell you the 10,000 is the magic number. What a nice graphic done by Mary Dina. Look at that. I'm going to tell you the secret. I'm going to show my Corona cut at $10,000. And we had a huge uptick over the weekend. You know why? If you tuned in on Friday, I challenged a listener, Des McAnuff, made this reference how he recorded a cast album for a musical he wrote in high school. He told us he recorded an album. And I said, can we hear it? And he said, that thing doesn't exist anywhere. It doesn't exist anywhere on the planet. And I said, I really want it now. So I challenged all of you out there. I said, it's the internet. I'll give $1,000 to the Actors Fund if someone finds it. And literally like 30 seconds later, someone found it. So I upped my donation, and we're now at like 8,000 and change. So when we get to 10,000, I'm showing you what's under here. And just to give you a clue as to how good it is under here, which means how bad it is. My cut was like 5 weeks ago, and it's still a semi-disaster. That's right. It has grown out that long and still a disaster. Shows you how short it actually was in some places. Some places it was short. Some places it was long. It was a little bit uneven. Anyway, I can say that because my wife is not with me right now. She's not here. So she did an amazing job, and I love her. Okay, so get your questions for Lynn directly. We're going to ask her in a few minutes. We're also going to see if my speakers are working. What is going on with the news? Well, today, Charlotte St. Martin, the head of the Broadway League, she gave an interview to, I forget who it was, Deadline or someone like that, the Daily Beast. And she talked about how we hope to be back in January. So it looks like we're not going to be back for a little while. She would know best. So it looks like January, but she talks about, it's a very interesting article. So check my Facebook page. You're on my Facebook page. I put it there this morning because I thought you'd all get a kick out of it. Also, I wrote a blog about how I think I'm very bullish. I'm very optimistic that our bounce, once we do open back up, that it's going to be a good bounce. I even have a little graphic. I drew it on a Post-it note. I showed you a little diagram of what I think it's going to look like. So check out the blog. That's also on the Facebook page, actually. You can scroll down and check that out and what I think our recovery will look like. And then tomorrow I've got a part 2 to this on why I think it's going to look the way it is. Upcoming, we have a 30-day script challenge coming up on June 1st. Don't forget about that. I'll talk more about that in the next couple of days. Okay, now it's time not only to bring in Lynn Ahrens, but also to find out if my speakers are working. Is everybody ready for this? Lynn Ahrens, are you ready for this? Let's bring you on in. Cross my fingers. I can't hear you unless you're...
because I'm not using my voice.
Damn it. Lynn Ahrens. How she look at that. I'm sweating. You can see it because I have a ring light. You can see the sweat. Look at that. They're very, very funny.
You know, once you find equipment that works, never change it. That's my motto. Never.
I know. And of course, I literally was like, oh, I got this new stuff. I set it up at like 7:47. It was like, this will be no problem. And then I didn't hear our theme song, and I don't know. Anyway, how are you?
I'm really good. How are you? You look fabulous. The ring light is good.
It's the ring light.
I like the ring light. That's good.
Where are you right now?
I'm in upstate New York, at our place in upstate New York. And I've been here since February. So, yeah, end of Feb. Oh, wait, I'm lying. No, I'm lying. Mid-March, because I went to Florida at the end of February for a show, and then we got kicked out. So.
Oh, right. So we heard this story from Stephen when he was on. You were in the midst of rehearsals for this brand new show of yours when this happened, right?
Exactly. We were in the midst of rehearsals for Knoxville, which is a show we're doing with Frank Galati. And, Frank directed Ragtime way back when, and he's an old and dear friend. And we were just having a great time. And, the news started going downhill and getting so dark and so frightening, really. And, the inevitable happened. We got shut down. It was a good thing. I was just at the point of starting to be afraid to be there. Why am I here? I should be home. Here. So we all went our separate ways. And Stephen went to Mexico to be with Trevor. I'm sure he told you that. And I hitched a ride with Jason Daniely, who's in the show. He's the star of the show. And his house is like 5 minutes from my house. And he was driving up here. He had driven to Florida. So I was like the luckiest girl in the world. I just hitched a ride with him, and we drove 2 days and had a blast, and, stayed overnight in North Carolina and had Applebee's for dinner. It was, wild.
That Jason Daniely and Lynn Ahrens on a road trip sounds like one of the best buddy films I've ever seen. Like the two of you driving through the South.
It was hilarious. We're driving along, and like every time I think we went through 10 states, we'd lift our feet up, so that we lift our feet up off the ground, and it was just fun. We had a good time. He's an old dear friend, and It was good. Hey, Ken, I've lost you. Is that a good thing? Oh, there you are.
I'm here. Oh no,
There you are.
we have very fancy production values now. Mary Dina is able to watch what she does. She's going to bring you on. Here she goes. Look at this.
Right?
And now she's going to swap me and bring me on.
Okay.
Hey,
Oh, fabulous. All right,
This is-
I got to get that ring light. I could tell.
Yeah, it's stuff that us theater people don't know. It's a magic of television.
It is, but we're learning so quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, now I know Zoom. This is StreamYard. Oh my God, there was another one. I don't know. I'm just like, but in my house, everywhere I go, I'm backlit and you can't see my face. So now I have a lamp in front of me. I mean, it's like this pathetic. The Wi-Fi doesn't work, but whatever. I'm queen of tech.
So have you, I remember, I think on my podcast, you telling me that you and Stephen, of course, love to write in a room together normally when you write, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So what have you been writing? What has this been like with you having to do it through technology?
We can do it. I mean, the truth is that as the years have gone by, we work less and less. Like we used to get together every single day of the week, like real people with jobs, and we would, and write in the same room. And as email and as MP3s and all that stuff sort of came into being, we have worked a little bit less and less in the room together, and a lot more by email and by various means of tech. And now that we're so far apart, we wrote a beautiful big choral piece for the Washington Gay Men's Choir, and or chorus, I guess they're called. And we've written another song that Rachel Bay Jones recorded that's going to be on an album that's coming out with a bunch of songs written by people in isolation. So we're working. We're in between two basically finished musicals, waiting for both of them to, go into production. So, I'm doing a lot of reading and looking for ideas, but we're not working on something brand new right now, which is probably good. I think that would probably be good not to do.
It'd be hard, yeah. So you said you're looking for ideas by reading and things. So yeah, how do you find your ideas?
I read a lot, and I look at movies, and you never know where you're going to find inspiration. I read all kinds of books and children's books and books for young adults and grown-up books too, and look at just look at a lot of movies and kind of see where inspiration may emerge. That's what I'm in the process of doing. I think it would be very hard to start a brand new project at such a distance, over online, because you really need to look in each other's eyes and see what the project is and how it begins to evolve. So yeah, that's what I'm up to up here. Plus doing a little regular writing, like writing, I'm finishing a book of essays. So I'm in the midst of writing about life in showbiz. Yeah.
Life in showbiz. I want that one now.
Well, and before. Yes.
Are there any shows that you've done with Stephen that you had to really convince him to do? Anything that you were like, this is going to be a fantastic one, and he was like, I don't buy it.
Yes, almost everyone. I would say the two that come to mind immediately, Dessa Rose. I read a book that I fell madly in love with, and I said to Stephen, I think this will make a musical. It's so epic. It's so gorgeous. It's so this, so that. And he tried to read the book, and he just couldn't get into it. It's written in dialect, and it's a hard book to read. And we sort of set it aside. And then the next year I said, Stephen, that book, Dessa Rose, why don't can we try to talk about 10 years, Ken? It took 10 years. I'm like the Chinese water torture. And he finally said to me, I swear to God, and he finally said, Lynn, you care so much about that. Why don't you just write, something first? And so I wrote 50 pages of libretto, and I handed it over to him. And within about 2 weeks, I think, he had pretty much set that chunk of music, and we were off and running. So, it was a hard one for him to get into, but I was persistent because I loved it so much. And The Glorious Ones was another one. The Glorious Ones was a book that a friend of mine had introduced me to, And these are both Lincoln Center Theater shows. They're small Mitzi Newhouse shows. And another book that I loved, The Glorious Ones, loved it. And we could never figure out what it was. And every summer I would go on vacation and I would write a new version of The Glorious Ones. One was in rhymed couplets, one was in free verse, and every summer, at the end of the summer, I'd say, here's another try at The Glorious Ones. And we just finally got it. But we even got to the point on that show where I said, I give up. I can't do this anymore. Let's just not pay for the rights anymore. Let's just give it back to the author. And so we called Francine Prose, who wrote the underlying novel, and we said, Francine, we're just stumped. We can't do it. We're so sorry, but we've written some beautiful songs that we love. Could we just do those in cabaret or something? Would you mind if we did that? But we're not going to make a musical. And she said, well, let me hear the songs. And we said, okay. So she and her husband came over to my house and we played about 4 or 5 songs that we'd written. And she burst into tears and she said, you have to do the musical. I'm sorry, you just have to do the musical. And I said, but I can't figure it out. I don't understand. I can't figure it out. And she said, oh, just make up your own story. She said, plot was never my strong point. So we had permission to sort of go further afield, and that was it. Yeah.
So
but yes, it's hard.
What about that or any of the books you've stumbled on makes you go, oh, I have to do this as a musical? Is there a common ingredient in all of your shows that made you want to make it?
Yeah, probably when I read the book and the language of a book appeals to me, that if it has poetry to it, lyrical, I don't mean literal poetry, but just a certain heightened language, big gutsy characters, and a great plot, a great story that needs to be told, that I feel I want to tell. I mean, it's hard to describe. It's sort of like with Once on This Island, I opened the first page and I knew that was it, So yeah, just the first few lines.
And how do you
like
feel this whole thing that we're going through right now? How do you think it's going to affect the type of shows that are written, produced? What do you think the theater looks like in a post-COVID world?
I don't know. I don't think anybody really knows. I don't think it will influence the kind of show I want to write in terms of material, the actual writing, but it may very well influence the size of the show. What I think, it probably, I will write smaller shows. I would think that would be necessary, because I don't think that, until we can all sit shoulder to shoulder in a theater again, economics are just not going to be too great for a big show. But that being said, I think I'm going to continue to look for the same kinds of projects, things that have guts and passion and stories about people I care about. And, I do think that probably it will bring out a lot more serious material, maybe. But then again, I think people are just hungry for entertainment. They're after this ordeal that everybody is going through. I think, it's like in the Depression, everybody wanted to run to the movies to escape. And I think, they'll want to run to the theater, I'm hoping, to be, have fun and to have joy. So, I think it can go either way, depending on who's writing it. It's either going to go it's either going to be material that speaks to our times, or it's going to be material that helps us to escape from our times. That's what I guess I think.
And as an artist, are you finding this time freeing? Are you actually like, oh, I'm hunkered down, you can just churn through all this work? Or is this a bit stifling as an artist for you? Like, it's very hard to get stuff done when you feel a bit trapped.
Well, it's a weird thing. My days go by like that. I don't know if you find that. I wake up 5:30 in the morning. I've been waking up with the birds, literally. And I go out, I go for a really long walk, listening to a book on tape. And then I come back and somehow I do my mat exercises, and then there's breakfast, and then somehow, there's stuff to do. Like there's some stuff outside that I want to do or whatever. And suddenly it's lunch. And I don't know, my days are sort of clocked with meals. And in between the meals, I guess I'm finding it's hard to focus. It's really hard to sit down and concentrate. I've been trying to do it with prose writing, with those essays, because I sort of given myself a deadline. But I find the days a little bit scattered, I must say. Partly because maybe I'm getting up too early. Like I'm drinking coffee right now, which is a bad sign.
That's better than what most people are drinking right now. Most people are drinking.
Yeah, well, that too. I have a picture somewhere of me holding an empty Scotch bottle and an empty bourbon bottle. They're the big bottles. Not that I drank them all myself, but
So what?
I don't know. It's a funny thing.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's a really funny time, and I think we're all scrambling around. I so admire everybody who sits down and they're playing guitar in their living room and they're writing a song and putting it out there and starting. You're doing this live stream and people are doing all sorts of stuff like that, and I don't know. I can't figure it out quite yet. I have been wishing around with clay, believe it or not, making sculptures, which is something I used to love to do. I've gotten a little bit of that done. And but it's a strange time. I keep thinking I should be doing more. But, it's early days yet, I fear. So.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's a strange feeling of pressure, like, oh, we should be taking advantage of this time, which is, I think, why the days go so quickly, because sometimes I feel like it's there's a tide and you're just like trying to swim to the shore and you can't quite get there.
You can't quite get there, and then you wake up in the morning and the shore is just out there again at the same distance, and you got to swim there again, and it's the same. It's so weird. I've taken to the New York Times will send you like what you need to know for this evening, and what first thing in the morning it pops you something at 6 a.m. and I always read it, and I read the news, and then I close my phone and I think, what did I do that for? Why did I start my day like that? And it's very hard to change your routine, and it's been for years that I have a routine, a writing time that I'll assign to myself every day, and I'm pretty good about it, but it's going out the window. So, I'm just going with the flow. Yeah. Yeah. You have and having fun.
Well, to this point about some people are picking up new hobbies or new things or trying things new. Tell me this, if I wanted to pick up writing a lyric, if I had never written a lyric before, but I said, you know what, I've got another 30 days here. I want to become a lyricist by the time the next 30 days are up. What curriculum would you put me on? What would you have me do to study and become a lyricist at the end of 30 days?
Wow. Well, let me see now. I guess, you'd have to just, first of all, sit down and listen to and sing through all the classics, Gypsy and West Side Story and all of the classics, Sunday in the Park, whatever you pick of Sondheim's is fine. And see what lyrics are really like and see how they function. I think the most important thing about lyrics is really the fact that they're little mini stories. They tell a story about a character or about, they push plot forward. And I think really in 30 days, read Dr. Seuss. That's a good idea. There you go. That's a particular kind of, sort of a doggerel type rhyme, but that might inspire you. I think I would just look for something and copy it, frankly.
I love it. Is Sondheim your favorite lyricist when you were coming up? Is that someone who you learned from the most, his lyrics?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I love a lot of them. I love a lot of them. But I think Sondheim and probably I would say Sheldon Harnick, because both were alive and both mentored us. And I really learned a lot from them. I really remember what they said, even to this day, and that was such such a gift, really, when I think about it, that you know, we got to present our work to these luminaries, Peter Stone, and oh my God, so many people. Richard Maltby, who's become an old friend of mine, you know, because he was an early mentor, and you really learn from them. But Harnick and Sondheim were amazing, and the first Broadway show I ever saw was Fiddler. And I remember it never had even dawned on me till that moment that somebody actually wrote a show. I just thought, I don't know, they just arrived on a stage and you know, where'd that come from? I don't know. And it suddenly dawned on me, oh, it's telling stories in songs. That's interesting. And, you know, up until that point, I had written for television and I had written jingles and I had written for advertising, but it never dawned on me that that theater was something I'd be good at, you know. So yeah.
Any quips or advice from Harnick that you still remember, that you still use to this day? Anything that
well, probably more from Sondheim. He was scarier, you know. I mean, Sheldon was a gentle, he's such a gentle soul, and he was very kind and very direct, but Sondheim would say things like, you know, you know, I and time don't rhyme. They don't rhyme. That's an imperfect rhyme. Oh, okay. Because we had a beautiful song called I Wouldn't Waste My Time. And I didn't know. And I never made another imperfect rhyme after that. I worked it. Yeah, he scared me. And in fact, that song got tossed out. It was tossed out of our first show, Lucky Stiff, and we replaced it with the dog song, which has become, you know, a very well-known audition song and stuff. People sing it a lot. It's called Times Like This. Oh. And you know that song?
Yes, I do. I love it.
Yeah, it's the sweetest little song, and that's what replaced I Wouldn't Waste My Time. And I got back when I was away some year, and I came back to a big stack of mail, and at the bottom of the stack of mail was a tiny little envelope, and it was from Stephen Sondheim. And it was like 20 or 25 years after I had written that dog song, and he said that his assistant had made him a mixtape of chanteuses singing that he didn't know, singing songs he might not necessarily know, and he heard the dog song again. He had heard it way back when. He heard it again, and I can't even tell you what he said. It's too humbling, but it was like the most beautiful little note I have ever received. It's on my wall. It will go in my coffin, you know, or get burned or whatever. So, you know, these guys were just great. Yeah.
Well, I think we have some folks standing by to ask a question or two. Mary, do we have someone to ask a question? We have Sam. Is that right? Well, bring on Sam.
Hey,
hello.
Jen.
Hey, Sam. He's sideways. He's
sideways. Oh, thank you so much.
Of course.
And I'm anxious, but I mean, I'm showing you. I wanted, you can see my poster there, One Song of Silence.
Indeed. Oh, yes. Thank you.
Here's my question. So for all the graduating BFAs right now and the musical theater people, what's your best advice right now for them? I mean, it's a challenging time. What do you recommend?
I would recommend just reading and listening to every last show you can get your earbuds on, you know, try and see as much of the theater that's being shown online now. Just I think it would probably be a wonderful time to immerse yourself in musicals if that's what you want to write. This would be the time to listen and read, because you can't go see them for the most part, but you can listen and read, and you know, you might actually absorb a lot of it. And look at the old movie musicals too, you know, which are available on, you know, Netflix and all of that stuff. I think it would be probably for people who are just about to graduate, and I feel so bad for them. They won't actually have their graduation. It's horrible. It is. But they can use this time toward what they want to do when they're allowed to do it again, you know. That's my best advice.
That's great.
How's that?
No, that's great.
I don't know.
And we're praying for all of them. It's a challenging time, but
yeah.
You know, thanks for what you've done and all the beautiful musicals you bring and inspiring us. So thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you. You know, you're sideways. I have to tip 5.
Oh, yes. Ken knows. He can see.
Thanks for that question, Sam. We'll see you real soon.
Love it. And Ken, thanks for all you're doing for the Actors Fund. I mean, I keep giving you every week. I said, you know, and I inspire everybody. You've got to give. You've got to give. It's going to come back. Broadway's going to come back. And I think all your advice has been very, very good. So thank you. God bless all.
Thanks, Sam. You take care. I think we may have someone else back there. Mary, do we have another? We don't. Drew, we're having some technical difficulties with you. I'll ask one of your questions here. Drew Rieger asks, what do you do to cure writer's block, especially when you have a deadline? Any tips?
You know, yeah, if what's being blocked is, you know, a song, let's just say, and you're trying to push it and you can't figure it out, you're probably writing the wrong song. That's what I've usually found, is that when I get really stumped, I just shake it off. I go for a walk, or, you know, divert myself with something else and put a little distance between me and the thing that's stumping me. And sometimes it's like shuffling a deck of cards. You know, another card pops to the top when you give it a little time. I do think that writer's block is just one of those. It's your brain telling you, this is not what I want to be writing right here, and you might want to look for another solution. That's what I think. And that's what's usually for me. Yeah.
I have a
usually
question.
If you have writers, you force a song, it's never as good as it should be. So
I have a question for you, because what I love about your career, your portfolio of musicals, is that they are so different, from the glorious ones to Seussical to Ragtime to Once on the Island to My Favorite Year, all different styles and all different types of characters. I mean, just look at Ragtime alone. From you have to write for Tata, for Mother, for Coalhouse Walker and Sarah. How do you find the voices for those characters in the lyrics? Do you do research? How do you channel those folks?
Well, yeah, I do a lot of research. You know, a lot of the way a character sounds has to do with their education, where they come from, do they speak with an accent, do they have bad grammar, you know, all that stuff. So that's from research. But I also am very inspired by source material. So, you know, like with Ragtime, for instance, there's so much detail in that book that it's a deep well of inspiration. I also, the lyricist is the bridge, you know, sort of the bridge between the book writer and the composer. So, you know, I try to make it feel seamless from the book into the lyrics and on top of the music. And I try to, you know, make us all three of us sound like one entity, and make the characters have the integrity that the book writer has given them in his dialogue. So, you know, it's an intuitive process, but you know, I do feel that I love to write different characters. I love to enter different worlds, and you know, whether it's an elephant and a bird and a baby elephant bird, or a Jewish immigrant and an upper class white lady, whoever the character is, or an African American piano player. I enjoy, you know, giving them voice. I think that's one of the joys of my job.
Well, it's so obvious that you love what you do, and it shows not only every time I talk to you, but in all of your shows, which are just magical. When I was an actor, I sang Larger Than Life from My Favorite Year, and of course we met on Ragtime, and it's just, and of course Once on the Island was just the experience of a lifetime. And I thank you for joining us here tonight and spending a little bit of your quarantine with us.
My pleasure. You say quarantine, and I say quarantine.
Yeah, I know. I say quarantine. It's like quarantine.
Oh, quarantine. Oh, okay. I was gonna sing. You know, you say quarantine.
It's me trying to be like, you know, funny with words. I just don't have your talent.
I see. No, I misheard you. That's excellent, Ken.
Oh,
excellent. You have 29
trying.
days to go. 29 days to go till you
Right.
this.
I do feel like tonight was a master class in lyric writing, so thank you for that. Please,
Well, thanks,
please stay safe and stay healthy, and I look forward to being in a room with you very, very soon.
Thanks. Same to you, Ken. Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Lynn Ahrens, everyone, a true master of the craft. In fact, look at Wayne Stafford. Your shows are of legacy, and they will stand the test of time. That is for sure. They are so many classics from Ahrens and Flaherty, and more to come. That's what's even more exciting. You did hear her say that they have 2 musicals that are just standing by, and she's looking for ideas for more. So lots more to come from them in the future. And of course, lots more to come from us in the future, because we're still going to be live streaming day by day by day. Tomorrow, Lisa Crone, playwright, book writer of Fun Home, is going to join us. And we have a special guest, Matt, with 1 T, that is not a typo. Matt and Savannah Shaw, the daddy-daughter duo. I have to say that slowly or I will trip over it. And I promise myself I get through one of these live streams without sounding like an idiot. So Matt and Savannah Shaw, YouTube sensations that they are. It's like they've had 25 million views or something now. It's crazy. They were a Something to Make You Smile from a couple weeks ago. They're going to join us. I love this story. They just put something out there and look at what happened. So they're going to join us from Utah tomorrow. They'll be in Utah. We'll be here. What else? Don't forget about our replays. You can see all the replays if you haven't. It's like 60 episodes now or something, right, Mary? We've had 60 of these suckers. 54. I'm rounding up, sort of. So 54 episodes. We're going to get to 60, though, sooner than later. So catch all those replays. Give to the Actors Fund. You heard Sam. He gives each and every week. Are you giving each and every week? Please do. Look at all the people that have donated so far. Are we up to $9,000 yet? Are we up to 9,000? I hope so. By the end of this, we will be. Let's segue into that Something to Make You Smile. First of all, let's just go back to that time that Lynn Ahrens played a practical joke on me at the beginning of this thing and pretended that I couldn't hear her. Damn it. She got me. Anyway, Something to Make You Smile. This is fun. Get Me Out of Here by Adam Guan, featuring a whole ton of college students. It's so great. We had that question about what do you do with a BFA in drama, to like paraphrase an Avenue Q song this time of year, in the middle of this quarantine. Well, here's what you do. You put together a parody video, Get Me Out of Here by Adam Guan, performed by all these college kids from all over. It's fantastic. And I love their positive energy and spirit in the face of what they're dealing with. Poor kids didn't even have a graduation. Damn it. So go to the producersperspective.com/smile. Go watch that video and all the other ones. And make sure you give a little to the Actors Fund on the way out the door. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow night with Lisa Crone and the Shaws.
Getting the band back together.